Jadi sekali yang bersemangat merdeka.
Every time we look back on this moment when we signed this agreement which severed Singapore from Malaysia, it will be a moment of anguish. I mean, for me, it is a moment of anguish because all my life, you see, the whole of my adult life,
this was a mud flat, swamp. Today, this is a modern city. 10 years from now, this will be a metropolis. Never fear.
I'm calculating in terms of the next generation, in terms of the next 100 years, in terms of eternity. And believe you me, the next 1,000 years, we will be here. I won't be here, but people like me and like my friends here tonight will be here. Recognizable, identifiable, 1,000 years from hence.
Whoever governs Singapore must have that iron in him, or give it up. This is not a game of cards. This is your life and mine. I've spent a whole lifetime building this. And as long as I'm in charge, nobody's going to knock it down. I'm accused often of interfering in private lives of citizens. Yes. If I did not, had I not done that, we wouldn't be here today. 我们认为，如果在学校里教他们华语跟英语，他们一定会讲华语或者英语，可能是两种。可是有38%的学生，英语一句话都不能讲，听差不多，华语也不大流利。大家都了解呢，需要减轻每一个儿女的负担。如果让这样的制度下去，新加坡的社会呢，是讲新加坡特别的英语，新加坡的福建话，跟巴沙的马来话3种，那就是一个不好的现象。怎样要解决这个问题？我认为慢慢地改变这个习惯，语言的习惯，到处见面的时候一定要讲华语，比较方便。To have no emotionally acceptable language as our mother language is to be emotionally crippled. We shall doubt ourselves. We shall be less confident. Only a Chinese Singaporean who has been exposed to discomfiture or ridicule when abroad will know how inadequate and how deprived he can feel. But by then, he would not be young enough to learn the language easily. I have personal experience of this. Had I known all the difficulties, bilingualism, in 1965, as I know now today, would I have done differently? Yes, in its implementation, not in its policy. I do not regret the stress and the heavy burdens I put, because the other way would have been a destruction of our whole, the chance of building up some form of culture which is worth preserving.
Unless we have a rooted population, unless the people have something to defend. So if you ask people to defend all the big houses where the bosses live, and they live in hovels, I don't think that's tenable. So So we decided from the very beginning, everybody must have a home, every family will have something to defend. And that home must be owner-owned, but they'll have to pay it by installments and over 20, 25 years, even 30 years. And that home we developed over the years into their most valuable asset. Make this a first world oasis in a third world region. So that anybody coming into this region will know you base yourself here, then you look around and do your business and see where the businesses are. That cannot be done overnight. But what can be immediately done was to show investors that this is a well-organized place. So when they come into the airport, especially investors who are coming to the Astana, they will pass by greenery, which means maintenance. So without having to tell anything to the CEO, I knew that he would understand that when I say we will deliver, he knows that we can deliver. A few days after independence, the Prime Minister of Malaysia told the British High Commissioner, if Singapore doesn't do what I want, I'll switch off the water supply. Of course, it was meant to be passed on to me, and it duly was. So I knew that unless I could become less dependent, at that time I did not believe I could be totally independent, but less dependent on Malaysian supplies, I would always be a satellite. So I set up a unit in my office, and I had a very good engineer who was head of the department, and we set out systematically from day one, 1965, let's get every drop of water in Singapore made potable.